Cycling computers cost a lot of money, but are those cheap alternatives really worth looking at? More to the point, can you trust what they're telling you? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. You don't want to spend your hard earned on a new computer only to find out further down the line it only does half the things as you assumed it would. So what do? You do what everyone does, and they throw loads of money at the big brands, which is exactly what I did. But am I being milked by a system that knows I'll blow twice as much as I should on this one just because pro cyclists use it? This is my Garmin. It cost me £350. And if you want something similar, they're starting out at around about £250 and upwards. And it's not just this brand. You look at the other brands, Wahoo for example, you're looking at a similar sort of money. This little box of tricks claims it can do everything the average cyclist could possibly need, but at a fraction of the price. But can it really? Well, let's go find out. This is the latest head unit from iGPSports. They've been doing this sort of stuff for around about 10 years. They do these, they do those radar lights, out front mounts, heart rate monitors. You get the gist. Now, when I saw they were showing this at Eurobike this year, I dropped them an email and said, do me a favour, send me one of those because I want to give it a try. So they sent me this free of charge. However, they will not be influencing what I say about it. And once I'm finished with it, I'll give it away. And what they also sent me, I didn't ask for it, but they sent me it anyway. It's one of these backlight radar things, you know, the gadget that flashes up on your head unit when you're about to get run over by a bus. Well, I'll give that a try, but I'll do a separate video on that because that looks very interesting because it's half the price of the branded ones. So let's start off with the obvious question. What does the average cyclist want from a typical cycling computer, and does the BSC300 fit the bill? Well, first in my list of must-haves is accurate GPS, and this has multi-band GPS tracking and links up to 5 satellites. Another great feature I want is a decent colour screen. Yep, 2.4-inch colour screen. Tick. Sensor compatibility. This will link to all of your main sensors via either Bluetooth or ANT+, your power sensors, your heart rate monitors, everything. Another important one for me is navigation, because I'm rubbish at it. This apparently has full mapped turn-by-turn navigation. None of that breadcrumb rubbish, so that'll be interesting to see. Another nice thing to have is wireless uploads, and this will upload your rides straight to your phone via Bluetooth. Strava compatibility, that's a big one. Yep, this will upload your rides straight to Strava or Training Peaks or Komoot if that's your thing. Battery life, that's a big one. You don't want it dying on you. Apparently, it claims up to 20 hours. Is it made well? They need to be. I'm always dropping mine, but it seems to be bolted together pretty well. And it's also got the IPX7 waterproof rating, which is, what's that, 1 metre for 30 minutes or something like that. So yeah, waterproof or showerproof as well. So if the spiel is to be believed, it sounds like it's worth taking this little thing out of the box. However, before I just shove it on the front of my bike, let's take a closer look at it. First up, connectivity. Now, one of the great things about the more expensive units is the way that you can configure them either via a companion app or through the manufacturer's website. The iGPSports website lets you preview your previous activities, upload routes from places like Strava or Komoot, or even create your own routes using Google Maps based plotting. So in that area, they've got the basics covered. Their companion app does all of the things that the website does, but it also allows you to manage the head unit. You can do things like synchronize your rides, update the firmware and customize the head unit. I particularly like the way that you can get the training screens and shift around and customize all the training screens in the app and then push that into the head unit via Bluetooth, just like you do with the Wahoo. So it would seem, on paper at least, that the BSC300 is not a bad bit of kit and is probably worth giving a try. However, saying you can do something and actually doing that thing, that's a bit different. So it fits to your bike via your typical quarter turn mount. As I was saying previously, 2.4-inch colour screen, so once it's on the bike it's easy to see, nice and clear. And the training screens give you every possible statistic you could ever possibly want. They've crammed them all in. To be honest with you, it was overkill, so via the app I deleted half the training screens that are set by default. Once I connected it to the bike, I then synchronised it with all the sensors. Nothing exciting to report there, it just did the job. Heart rate, cadence, power meter, even Garmin Viera and Shimano Di2. It just connected to them, no problem at all. I took this little computer on every bike ride I did for 2 weeks, but what I also did is I ran it side by side with my Garmin, and what I've done is I've taken 2 rides from those 2 weeks, one short ride and one longer ride, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the data that both of these units spat out to see if we can see any difference. First of all, was the GPS tracking accurate? Yes, mostly. If you look at the distance travelled and the average speed, they are pretty much exactly the same. However, there is one anomaly which I will pick up on in a minute. What about that turn-by-turn navigation? How did that do? Well, that didn't work out of the box. You need to go to the iGPSPORT website and download your specific local map. Go to their website, click on support, click on maps, and then download the relevant map to your area. You'll then need to connect the computer via the USB cable at the back to a PC and drag and drop that map into the maps folder on the head unit. What about those external sensors? Nothing to report here, that just worked. Heart rate, power meter, cadence, they all just spat out their figures, and both head units recorded what they were given, so they both gave exactly the same figure. So how did the navigation do after I'd eventually downloaded the maps? It worked perfectly well, gave me turn-by-turn notification, and the map was perfectly clear. They both dropped the odd turn notification every now and again, as these things always do, and they always have done. The iGPSorts unit did do it a little more often than the Garmin did. So how did the battery do? Well, after 6 hours of riding that week, it still had 80% left, which is a lot. Now, frustratingly, I didn't charge my Garmin that week, so I couldn't do a side-by-side comparison. But if I'm honest, I'm pretty sure my Garmin wouldn't do that well. So after living with the BSC300, what do I think of it? A Rolls-Royce and a Renault both have 4 seats and a steering wheel, and both will do a fantastic job of taking you to the shops. However, they're not the same, are they? So this is a small company making a more cost-effective solution. So there are going to be compromises. The iGPSports website is good and it gives you a lot of information about your ride and loads of stats and stuff, but it's nowhere near as good as Garmin Connect. Also, segment hunters with your Strava Live segments, you ain't doing it with this. Those additional features you get with devices like a Garmin, where you've got that Climb Pro, or incident detection, or additional third-party apps that you can dump on the unit, you can't do it with this, unfortunately. Although the head unit will display everything about your Di2, what gear you're in, how much battery you've got and all that stuff, and all that works, unfortunately those little Di2 hidden buttons on the top, you ain't using those, they don't do anything. The BSC300 interface is good and it shows you all the basic stuff you need to know about your bike ride, but it doesn't do all that additional stuff like a Garmin does, like tell you where the nearest coffee shop is or whether it's going to rain in the next half an hour. Although the BSC300 has Bluetooth to connect to your phone, it doesn't have Wi-Fi. So that means you can't just pull up outside the house and hit save and it just uploads the ride automatically. You've got to get your phone out, open the app and sync it through the app. The BSC300 does a perfectly good job of mapping turn-by-turn navigation, and the map's got the information that you need. However, a unit like a Garmin takes it to the next level. Just get the two units, get them side by side and find the nearest major city and zoom into the centre of it and you will see what I mean. The Garmin gives you so much more detail. So there you go, those are my compromises on this unit. The silly little things that most people probably wouldn't care about anyway, but are differences, little compromises. There is also a negative about this unit. The BSC300 doesn't have a barometric altimeter, and if you're a stats person, that matters. A barometric altimeter measures atmospheric pressure, and a unit like a Garmin uses that to calculate the elevation of the activity. The BSC300, because it doesn't have one, it needs to rely on GPS data to work out how much climbing you've done. And the problem there is the barometric altimeter is a lot more accurate way of doing it than using GPS data. Now the differences I saw between the two devices was up to 40% difference. Now you can correct that at the press of a button in Strava, but you shouldn't need to, should you? Now I'm sure there are other comparison points when comparing the BSC300 to a premium computer, but those are the ones that stuck out for me when I used it. If you've used this computer and you've got some comments, pop them below. Some people may question the support you'll get from a small organisation producing a product like this. I emailed them with a fictitious problem claiming the Bluetooth had stopped working on it. I got an email within 24 hours from Anna in their support team with some recommendations as to how I may overcome that problem. This unit is clearly firing at the Garmin market. It sort of looks very 520, 530 in its appearance, and it fills a gap in the Garmin range. If you look at the Garmin range, it goes from a £150 mono-screened handlebar Tamagotchi up to the premium £250 Explorer. This little thing slots perfectly between the two. I like this little computer. I think it's a great little bit of kit. For the few weeks I was using it, it sat alongside my Garmin on the handlebars and did exactly what I wanted it to do. Now I will openly admit I'm the biggest stats nerd, Strava Premium, subscription to Velo Viewer and the lot. However, when I was just plodding around on country lanes for a few weeks, it did exactly what I wanted it to do. But because I'm a complete stats nerd, I'm not sure if I could live with that elevation thing. But that's just me. You might be different. If you're looking for a simple computer that offers you activity tracking, turn-by-turn navigation, wireless uploads and a nice big colour screen, then the BSC300 is well worth a look. And when you compare it to the premium brands, you get a lot more for your money. However, if you're looking for the latest tech that will calculate your VO2 max and give you a kick in the crotch for letting your FTP slip by 2 watts, then it may not be the one for you. Winter is around the corner, and if you want to know what kit to wear to get you through it, check out that video up there. However, if you just want to drool over a nice Italian gravel bike, check that video down there. Thanks for watching.